All right. Welcome back. My name is Simba Kiage. In case you're just joining us, this is Lookuptv. All right, let's get in. Start with the Standard this morning, and this is the bigger headline here. Headliners: fears of a RUTO Raila deal and a making. And this is a kicker. Leaders from two political divides are jittery over a possible deal between the president and the opposition leader that might render them, in quotes, orphans. Interesting headline right here, because then that introduces a spanner into a conversation this morning. The fears of a possible truce between the two sides, that is Raila Odinga and William Ruto this morning. And if you look at this particular story, this is what Jeremiah Kione is talking about this morning. That is the former SG Jubilee Party. Is that if this would lead to me being called a hardliner, so bear it. I do not consume tear gas for the sake of myself, but for the sake of suffering of Kenyans. The multilateral approach must birth a constitutional moment. Also, we're starting this particular headline here today at a time when we also did see some softening of their stance, from the Kenya Kwanza side, because last week there were calls for getting back to the bipartisan negotiations, and this is what they said. We're still giving the Azimio coalition time to get back to the negotiating table, because according to us, we are not done and dusted. Getting the feeling that indeed a truce or a deal, all right, is as close as it can be. This morning, join us as we talk about this plus other issues around this area. The pictures right there of the Standard of how Kenyans yesterday heeded the call of the opposition leader Raila Odinga yesterday, then to go to the streets and light candles and also remember the lives of all those who lost their lives within these demonstrations. Those pictures right there. We do have Likoni Member of Parliament Mishi Mboko with other Azimio leaders who are seemingly overwhelmed by grief after lighting candles in honor of victims who died during demonstrations. That particular story again covered heavily on the Standard on pages 10, 11 and 12. Interesting story that you have to read on page 4 on how Uhuru's son essentially went to court and sued the Kenyan government for raiding his home to take away guns that he said were properly licensed. And this is what the Standard is calling it this morning. The Uhuru's son wins first court gun battle with the Director of Criminal Investigations. That's right there, top of your newspaper this morning. Good. You can see exactly how you read that particular story, which has grabbed headlines across the country, which essentially made the president speak. That is President Uhuru Kenyatta. Good. Page 2, interesting story about a woman at pains to prove Nyachai ties. The particular story continues, by the way, has been hitting headlines since the demise of the former Kenyan leader. And there is a story here on page 3 on how a hand without hands tops academic from battlefields of Baragoi, Samburu, John Lokuta, a war's determination has seen him scale heights in academia to become a lecturer. Read that particular story on page 3. All right. Story here on the back pages. We got to talk about it. About how there's the Women World Cup that is currently going on. Pictures right there of Michelle Alozi of Nigeria challenging Canada's Jordan Huitema during the Group B Women's World Cup match in Melbourne, Australia. Do you watch women football? If you are, those who watch it, then it's a good news for you. On the back page, if you do, that's what I'm saying, but you should. All right, let's cross over to the Daily Nation this morning. This is the conversation that has also been covered on the Standard. The big headline here is the big shift. All right, that particular story has been covered on pages 4 and 5, just like the Standard this morning. And this is the kicker. President Ruto, his predecessor Kenyatta, and Azimio Chief Odinga are seemingly dropping their earlier hardline positions, with the latter two now acknowledging the Ruto presidency and the former inviting the opposition chief for talks on the current protests that have also moved from the row over the 2022 polls to the high cost of living in the country. All right, and this is the quotes that have essentially led us to believe that indeed a truce is as near as it could get. Mr. Kenyatta says RUTO is my preso, quote unquote. I'll go if he invites me for talks. Right, Mr. Odinga, the president, knows my address and has my phone number. Those are the quotes. President RUTO, I'm always available for a one-on-one meeting with you, Waila. That's exactly what the shift that we're reading into this morning is essentially about. Some pictures right there of that particular story, the vigils for victims of protests, and azimio plans prayers to mourn the dead. That particular story has been covered on page 6 of the Daily Nation, by the way. And this particular story here on how KRA now plans to backdate new taxes, we talked about it when we were opening the show this morning. That particular story has also been covered on the back page of the Daily Nation. All right. Also, teachers get a cut in July pay slips. Teachers yesterday received reduced July salaries instead of an expected pay rise as their employer, the Teacher Service Commission, made new deductions. Read that story on page 8 as well. Interesting story here on page 32. American legend Tips Omanyala to shine, and this is after his latest escapades that essentially saw him again jump to victory. He is on the cusp of making history. That is according to Johnson. Read that particular story on page 32 of the Daily Nation. Is there something that we're missing this morning? I doubt. All right. Now you do know exactly how your dailies look this morning. Majority of the stories have been covered extensively on our website at www.lookuptv.co.ke. Take a tiny breather again. Once we come back, I'll be taking you straight to the newsroom where we get to tell you what it is that you're waking up to this morning in terms of our newsroom right here at Lookuptv. Let's jump into it then. A group of youth in Kitengela, Kajiado County, are using sports to curb prevalence of drug abuse. Now, the most popular game being Coco, a game that originated from India. However, lack of playing grounds and a few trainers are some of the challenges faced by the youth playing that particular game. It's called Coco. Let's take a look.
Go. This one. Koko imeneka pazuri, sijaweza kuengage kwa miadarati kwa idol. Mara mingi utanipata hapa hivi kuanza napiga shughuli, ama pale pia gym niko hapo tu napiga shughuli nikuwe fit. Thanks for Coco.
I've been here since 2020 during Corona season, where us as students and youth, we didn't have anywhere to go, but we had a coach who was privileged to bring us a new game that we have been playing since then. And it has built us as youth in this town of Kitengela. And it has been so nice having coach trusting in us as young people.
Wakati unajiunga na mchezo wowote, tunajaribu kukupanua mawazo uweze kukua, ati hautakuwa tu pale unachezea huu mchezo kama mwanarika wa pale tu nyumbani. You become an international mindset sports person. Kwa kuwa unaweza chezea nyumbani ama pia unaweza safiri ukauchezea huu mchezo nje. As a new sport, we have not had our stadiums set up in a way that they can embrace the new coming sports like Coco, which ideally does not need a lot. It's just a measurement of 27 by 16 for the layout where we play. Irrespective of the challenges we have had, we have been able to send some players to represent the country abroad. When we had an opportunity in Pune in India, where we got a player from Kitekoko and another one from Paradiso in Nairobi County to go and represent during the Ultimate Coco League trainings and exhibitions that were taken on.
Let's move on. Kirinyaga County government has established an exclusive fish market that will enhance the marketing system for fish in the county. The market, which has been established at Kiaga, will be the county's one-stop fish shop. Sorry for that.
Farmers in Kirinyaga have a reason to smile after a fish market was launched. The facility will be the county's aggregation center for fish where domestic fish bulking. Preliminary processing will be carried out.
This is our new aggregation center for fish, which is coming up, and most of the farmers will benefit from this. We have organized our farmers, about 2,000 of them, in various groups, and these farmers will be brought together to form a cooperative, which will be Kirinyaga County Fish Cooperative. This fish cooperative will be responsible for running this aggregation center, which have been supported through Her Excellency Governor Anne Waiguru, to ensure that fish farmers are able to get benefit of their produce.
The center is part of the Sisha Kirinyaga program that aims at supporting farmers to increase their agricultural production and boost earnings for the farmers. The county government is supporting aquaculture development through provision of fish pond liners, fish fingerlings, fish feeds and extension services that will address post-harvest management and marketing of the fish.
We want to transform fish farming from just livelihood activity to commercialization thresholds. This means that our farmers will be able to increase the number of fish ponds to be done, at least 5 per each farmer. And also above that one, we are also supporting 3 community dams, one in Kangai, the other one in Jokeni, the other one in Dia. This also, we have supported these dams with the canoes. They are going to be provided with them, and safety gears for them to be able to undertake fishing activities in those dams.
Felista Wandia, a fish farmer from Kiambagadi village in Dia constituency, stated that the aggregation center is a welcome move that will save them from incurring post-harvest losses that occurs when they fail to secure market for the fish after harvesting. Another farmer, Joseph Wachira, lauded the move, saying that the cold storage at the aggregation center will go a long way in enabling him harvest and keep his produce fresh, preventing harvest losses. The County Executive Committee member for Agriculture, Dr. John Gachara, said that the center will also offer a hygienic environment.
In this place, we are going to have fish eateries. We are going to the kiosk that you can see around here. They are going to be open for fish eateries, where people can be able to order their fish in different categories they may wish.
Let's move on to a story that we started with this morning, where John Jomo Kenyatta, son of former head of state Uhuru Kenyatta, has moved to court to quash the decision of the chief licensing officer at the Firearms Board to revoke his firearms license without following the due process set in the Firearms Act. Warimo Kimani with the details.
I ask myself, what does this government want? Because if it wants me, the fact that I've been silent doesn't mean I'm scared. Come for me. What does my mother have to do with anything? What does my children have to do with anything? Kama shida yenu ni mimi, I'm here.
In the quest for justice, after DCI officers raided his home in search of weapons and revoked his license to own a firearm, Jomo Kenyatta, firstborn son to former President Uhuru Kenyatta, has today walked through the corridors of justice and challenged the decision made by the chief licensing officer and the whole board on revocation of his firearm license. Jomo said that the process was initiated in bad faith and was contrary to the rules of natural justice, and the officers practiced what he termed as abuse of power. Through his lawyer, Fred Ngatia, John Jomo Kenyatta has defined that his firearm license is valid till April next year. He now wants the court to bar the chief licensing officer and the firearm licensing board from demanding his revocation of license and the surrender of his lawfully acquired weapons. Elsewhere, Busia Senator Okiya Omtatah has also moved to court in a bid to challenge the Finance Act. Omtatah today has filed evidence running into thousands of pages challenging the new tax law. Omtatah has accused the National Treasury for loading Kenyans with interest of loans borrowed without any corresponding development projects.
of the pleadings the petitioners are relying on to make the case that on two fronts. One, that the process of making the budget was irregular and was done outside the law. And two, that the budget itself, the contents of the budget are to some extent fraudulent. There's what we call budgeted corruption within that budget, which if removed, then Kenyans will not have to pay through the nose, the way we are being forced to pay.
The senator stated that he had been offered a 200 million shillings bribe to stop the appeal. Meanwhile, the court has suspended the implementation of this Finance Act till further notice.
The budget-making process in Kenya is totally unconstitutional. It violates the Constitution. It violates the Public Finance Management Act. It violates the Public Finance Management Regulations 2015. And it violates many other laws that govern this country.
Weri Mukimani, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
3 children from Katendewa village in Kilifi have died, while 7 others hospitalized with severe vomiting and general body weakness after consuming poisonous wild mushrooms. Kilifi County Referral Hospital has confirmed the incident, stating that the 2 of the hospitalized children are in critical condition. Nashin Mungasi now reports.
A somber mood has engulfed Katendewa village in Kilifi after a sumptuous mushroom meal turned deadly. According to Christine Furaha, one of the family members, the children went to harvest the mushrooms in the nearby bushes, as was the norm, and were assisted by their parents to prepare the dish. Things took a turn after the children started developing heartburns and visited local dispensaries and chemists before their condition got critical, leading to the death of 3 as 7 others were hospitalized.
Hiyo huwa wanatunda tu kawaida, kila siku yani mvua ikinyesha, kawaida mvua ikinyesha, watoto huwa wanatunda, hata mama zao mara nyingine wanaenda wakatunda. Sasa sijui hivyo zenye walienda wakatunda, sijui ilikuwaje. Sijui ndio ilikuwa na sumu ama walikosea hiyo mti kutunda.
Kilifi County Referral Hospital Dr. Malik confirmed the incident, saying the kids passed away due to fulminant hepatic failure as a result of eating the poisonous mushrooms. He further stated that 5 children are currently in stable condition.
Akaanza kutapika na kuharisha. Asubuhi yake dadake naye akashikwa nao kuharisha na kutapika. Ilipofika jioni akapelekwa hospitali.
Hadasa Crystal, Lookuptv.
Jioni ya Jumamosi akapelekwa hospitali, kulikuwa kuna daktari. Akaenda kemi.
Let's look at these 2 issues this morning, and I'll take you back to how we opened our Daily's review this morning. And this is what the Daily Nation is talking about. I don't know whether my director can actually just give us that before we jump into the next break. The Daily Nation is talking about the big shift. That's what they're calling it. They're calling it the big shift. And they have the 3 pictures there of Raila Amolo Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, and President William RUTO, with quotes that are seemingly extending what has been a soft stance from the 3. Then the Daily Nation, the Standard this morning also talks about hardliners' fears over Ruto-Raila deal in making. This morning, we get into that particular conversation then of how close or how far we are from that particular truce. Guess what? You can join us online and Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. Once we come back, I'll be introducing the guests who are joining us this morning to decipher into issues around the deal that has been feared, been brokered across the 2 warring sides, the opposition and the Kenya Kwanza government. The 3 men who have essentially at the center stage of those conversations have already spoken. And this is what the president said this week. He, Raila, knows that I'm available for one-on-one conversations. Is that telling at all into exactly what we expect then to happen in a couple days? as the hardliners fear indeed there are going to be orphans if a deal is brokered at a time also when the Kenya Kwanza side is telling the Azimio coalition the bipartisan talks are not yet done. We are still open for them. Once we come back right here on the Morning Drift, my name is Simba Kiage.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection, added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
The future is hands-on, and Sensei College is at the front line of technical institutes in Kenya, offering practical and skill-based courses accredited by all concerned bodies, TVETA, NTSA and NITA. Sensei College offers driving and plant operator, cosmetology, fashion and design, mechanics, hydroponics and irrigation, installation, building construction, hospitality, photography and video production, electrical and electronics repairs, and ICT courses. Get free plant operator training when you enroll for plant mechanics, free driving when you enroll for motor vehicle mechanics, and free riding when you enroll for motorcycle mechanics. The requirement is an ID only, with intakes every first week of the month. We have 2 campuses in Nakuru and Nairobi. We provide meals and accommodation. Sensei College. My skills, my future.
As the night falls, we come to life to bring you a comprehensive broadcast from the numerous events happening across our 47 counties.
When it breaks, it matters, and each story is important.
If it's Thursday, join me, Nancy Lima, and my able panelists as we break down the law jargons and analyze the Constitution in a way only you can understand.
The news cycle never stops, neither does time. We cover each and every sector and present to you factual and accurate occurrences. This is where facts win the day. Join me,
Nancy Lima,
Ian Keitani, Tuesday, every Wednesday,
Thursday,
as from 9 p.m. on The Insight, only on Lookuptv.
Hi, and welcome to Tujenge Home. Your #1 show when it comes to all things architecture, real estate, property development, interior design. You get it right here on Tujenge Home. When the food is ready.
You want to serve them?
Dinner is served. Let's go. Let's go.
Usiwahi cheza na mboga yangu. Na unafuata nani? Sikuoni ukinifuata. Nimekwambia una shares kwa hii kuku.
the roof, man.
Hebu kwanza rudi ndani ufresh hiyo choo na make sure umespray.
Juli, kwani wewe hii tumbo yako mimi najua inaweza ingiza kila kitu. Hata chuma nikishiaga nikupea hata plastic najua utakula. Kwani leo kunaendaje? Kuna kitu sielewi.
Kabisa Mluya. Yaani umeamua kulala uchi.
Sasa kama hakuna ile nguo inanitosha unataka nifanye aje?
Because you are fat.
Sasa ukiongelea mimi ati fat. Na Julie tutasemaje?
Kuja.
What word can you tell those people who are in cross-culture marriage?
A cross-culture is a barrier, but you are not supposed to look that as if it's something that should separate you.
There are things now I used to see, but now when she came in my house, is now I start now studying her.
But that never made me to leave my wife.
Mostly there is a lot of pretending. But when you come together, pretending come off. And now you start living reality.
I thought after you stay for a period of time, that months, year, you are going to just have a baby.
Postulate like this. For the very first time, Raila Amolo Odinga has used the word Rais RUTO. So we said, let's read something into that. Again, another man has used the word president. If I may say exactly what he said, well, he might have said president, but then he said preso. He said, he is my preso. That's president, for those who understand that lingo. Then another man has also said one thing the majority of us would have not expected for him to say at this time. And he said this, Raila Amolo Odinga knows that I'm available, all right, for a one-on-one conversation. Let's put that on the side. And I beg that we look at exactly how the daily is this morning. Then I've looked at this particular issue, and I would like for my director then to post. Maybe we can start with the Daily Nation. The Daily Nation this morning is talking about a big shift. And by the way, those particular quotes that I did have for that particular introduction come from that particular daily, where they've looked at the stand that those three have taken all the way to where we are now in terms of what they are saying about the demos. Good. Now, the Standard this morning is also talking about how some hardliners now fear over RUTO Raila deal in making, all right? For them, they're saying, well, if indeed there's going to be a deal brokered between Raila Amolo Odinga and RUTO, then the men and women who've been the hardliners in exactly how we're supposed to go about this deal fear that indeed they are going to be left out and become complete orphans. That is where we start this morning. Online at Lookuptv, across all your social media platforms, you're going to meet the topic of discussion today, call for truce. And that's why we have a panel this morning that is essentially going to help us then decipher this particular issue. Let me introduce to the conversation Anthony Maragu, who's the MCA current, but also joined by Moses Mwangi, who's essentially a governance expert. And we are also honored to be joined by Honorable Jen Kihara, who's the Member of Parliament Naivasha. Fantastic. Let me start with you, Honorable Jen. Are we reading too much into the statements that the three of them are making around this particular conversation for a truce?
First and foremost, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime.
This is the first time to be here.
Karibu sana. Yeah.
There's a lot of reading on papers and speculation. The big shift, I don't know what you read out of the shift. You have just explained. Former president has called William Ruto Prezo. Raila Amolo Odinga has referred to Ruto as the president. That's a big shift, if you may. Because Uhuru has been known or seen to say in public, even after Ruto winning, that Raila is still his president. So shifting to call him Prezo, that's a big shift. I don't read anything deeper than that. Raila has been saying that Ruto was not elected, legitimate president. If he calls him a president, then that's a big shift. They have changed their minds. I don't read anything deeper than that.
Jen,
Hardliners.
Change their mind to what?
To referring to him as the president, because they have been known to say he's not the president. Simple. You've changed from this to this.
Yes.
It's a big shift.
In the context of the current dispute.
Now, as to what they want from here, way forward, that's up to them. That's what I can't say. I don't know why Uhuru would want to call Ruto Prezo today when he has been known to say that he doesn't recognize him. Maybe it's just change of mind, maybe in support, or also to seal the conflict that seemed to be there. Uhuru has told us many times, kitu ni ya kufunga nyama. Tomorrow there'll be another headline.
I'm still looking at you, Jen. I'm not done with you. I like the way you're reading that particular headline. For you, it means.
No, for me, it's neither here nor there. Quite honest. Yes.
That it doesn't mean anything to you.
It doesn't mean anything
for
to me.
a man who
because
has never called him president.
They never referred to him as a president. Now they recognize he's the president.
And
that's
what time?
Now from there, I don't know what they want to do next.
Okay.
Maybe I want to be your friend. I'll tell you what I think you'd want to hear.
Is that okay? How do you connect those particular headlines, Jen? The big shift and what the Standard has this morning as well. Come on. Come on.
Like for me,
there has to be a link, isn't
it? I'm a hardliner supporter of President Ruto. I don't fear anything.
Okay, but let me give you one line before I introduce the rest of the panel who also come in and weigh in. That Raila Odinga knows that I'm available for a one-on-one meeting. That's from the president for the very first time. From a man who's been saying, well, this is not me, this is not about me and Raila Amolo Odinga. It's about the people of Kenya.
I think you need to understand politics deeper than you are. These two people have been friends for the longest.
Was that Raila Amolo Odinga and Ruto?
They have played politics from the same party one time. So they know each other. So let's not take too much out of these headlines. This is what somebody else reads. We don't know what their hearts.
Mheshimiwa, I'll be coming back to you because there have been developing issues around this particular conflict as well. Let me introduce to the conversation.
We want easy. We want easy country. We want to move on. And is
this not a pointer then?
So be it. If it is, it's a wait and see. Because those people have been seen or known to say other things. Now they are saying something different.
Anthony, let me bring you into the conversation. Again, Simpson, you see what Mheshimiwa is saying? There's nothing much to read into this. That is somebody's interpretation of exactly what these gentlemen are talking about now. Do you share the same sentiment that it's nothing?
I think, thank you, Elijah. And I must say good morning to all Kenyans.
Good morning.
Who are watching us here today. As Mheshimiwa said, it's also my first time and I'm happy to be here.
Karibu sana Lookuptv.
As I sit here, I am a representative of the youth also in Nairobi County. And when I look into the papers, there is indeed a shift that I'm personally happy about.
Yes.
Because if you look at the news, even in the papers today, as you know, we in Azimio are in a mood of mourning. If you look at the people who have borne the greatest brand of the police brutality and injustices,
yes.
It is the youth of this country, the people who have borne the greatest injustice. Some have died, others have been, maimed by police bullets. I am happy to see our leaders, we in Azimio, and again the president on the other side, sort of, changing, a change of heart. There is indeed a big shift as opposed to what we are used to. And we have seen previously, a lot of chest thumping. So for me, if this shift is towards a direction that we'll see temperatures in the country coming down, and us in Azimio, our demands have remained the same. So I disagree when we try and make it look as if a truce is between two individuals. Let it not be mistaken, because us in Azimio, a truce and these people coming together and talking has been constant. Our call for the cost of living to be brought down has remained the same.
Yes.
So if indeed the shift is for these two leaders, agreeing now, let's sit together. Everybody's saying things are not going in the right direction. Yeah, the clergy are saying things that are not good. The international community are saying things are not moving in the right direction. Our people, the citizens of this country, are coming out into the streets and telling the government of the day that things are not in the right direction. Then maybe, our leaders have smelled the coffee and they are ready to now sit together and talk about the issues that our people are raising.
Well, when you look at those two sentiments, I want to pick the same your thoughts, just like I picked the thoughts of Mheshimiwa. Saying, well, Raila Amolo Odinga for the very first time is saying Rais William RUTO, never been heard of. The same thing to President Uhuru Kenyatta. He's saying, well, he's my president, so when the president calls, I'll heed that call. And RUTO is also saying, well, Raila Amolo Odinga does know that I'm available for a one-on-one meeting. Is that a change in feeling in this particular conversation here this morning?
For me, as I said, it is a positive change as I observe it. Yeah.
Yes. Does that also show what is going on in the background then? Because there have been calls for truce, both locally and internationally among those three.
A leader who listens is a leader who is progressive.
Yes.
And as I speak here, as I say, I have seen my fellow young people, and it is not in our desire to see what has been going on. So if I see the president sitting down and saying, and talking to my leader, saying, I am ready for a sit down.
Yes.
And not for a sit down that is for him and himself alone and him and the president. No. We in Azimio, as I said, have remained very clear that if the president is willing to come to the table, we discuss about the high cost of living, the issues that we have raised from the beginning. And if you run all the interviews or all the times that we have been with Wananchi, we have remained very constant. Where we're saying, number one is high cost of living. Agree. Don't just chest thump and assume that all the people who are coming into the streets are mad. And as you have seen, sometimes even our leader of opposition, Raila Amolo Odinga, does not have to show up in the streets. Yeah, people are saying things are not moving in the right direction. So for me, I say, if indeed there has been a change of heart amongst our leaders, I would be, I am very happy about it today. but not in the direction. When we go, some people saying they are hardliners. Who are the hardliners? Who doesn't want our leaders to talk so that our country is back on track? Yeah, our citizens are back and enjoying an easy life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me try and see also bring into the conversation. Dr. Mwangi, let's look at those headlines just before I come back to Mheshimiwa then, so that we start discussing exactly what this particular issue is. That there is a big shift now. And it's not only us who are watching it, because the Standard is saying that if you look at what the feelings are from the hardliners from both ends, they feel like they're going to be orphans if indeed a deal is broken. Let me paint a picture for you, Dr. Mwangi, that this time around, Raila Amolo Odinga is not acting by himself. He is flanked by one Mother Karua, is also flanked by Kalonzo Musyoka, and the rest of them were saying that that particular deal that you're going to broker essentially has to be inclusive this time around, which is different from the case that we did see back in 2018. Do you link those two particular headlines, or you're going to take the same sentiments of Mheshimiwa saying, well, everybody can interpret how they want to interpret?
Thank you very much. I greet all the Kenyans and people who are listening to us. Indeed, this morning when we see the main headlines, the main medias,
yes,
all shifting from the headlines of maandamano and pictures of maimed people on the streets to a scenario where the main protagonists, who is President RUTO and Right Honorable Raila Odinga,
yes,
speaking in a manner to suggest that a deal is on the making, speaking in a manner, it breathes fresh air to Kenyans. I think it's important for us to recognize the 60 million of us are stakeholders of this country, and these two leaders cannot hold us at ransom. As Kenyans, we want to have a peaceful coexistence, and therefore that conversation is a good signal.
Yes.
And would only hope that they will carry it to the logical conclusion that it is not just fooling around, because there has been a lot of fooling around. Because, you know, politics is a game, and people can put their poker forward, or what it is that they are playing. But I think they need to recognize that these games that they are playing, yes, affect many more people, I mean all of us in the country. For former President Uhuru Kenyatta, I think he handed over power in broad daylight, which means that, in my view, he had already recognized that William Ruto is the president. Yeah. He gave him the mantle, never mind the behind the scene. And therefore, he's speaking, which is, I think he had to speak, because the so-called hardliners around William Ruto have been pointing accusing figures at him, yep, to the extent that his mother, security withdrawn, his son's home, you know, raided, and therefore, I think, in a sense, it may be a wake-up call to say, look, none of us is safe if everybody is fighting, and therefore, I think he has acted like a statesman, yes, to take the position, and especially because he's looked up to in terms of peacemaking in the African region, and he's done a pretty good job. I think we need to make peace in our country. But having said that, the buck stops with the president. The president who is in office at the moment whether this country burns or whether this boat is steadied where we are all inside, the buck stops with him.
Pretty much. Mheshimiwa, let me then start to decipher if indeed there's going to be a truce, where it's going to come from. This week, former president did speak and say, well, I'm getting blamed for sponsoring all the mandamano that has happened in this country. That in extension then to the lives of the Kenyans that have been lost during this demonstration period. Then he went again and said, but I am not the president. I have a president. And should the president call me to come and talk about this particular issue, I would go. But then you can't put the weight on me to call the president, because it doesn't happen like that. So even if we're talking about a truce, that there's going to be a deal brokered in between here, in one way or another, we have to solve the issue, which is the demonstrations that we've seen in the country, Mheshimiwa. Why haven't we seen the president also encompass Uhuru Kenyatta in this conversation? In the sense of, Uhuru Kenyatta has told him, I'm not the one, but should you call, I'll be there, so we get to the root issue of this particular issue. So can't we see that there's a problem between RUTO and Uhuru Kenyatta that we don't want to talk about?
You know, I hate the hypocrisy. This time round, we should not be talking about Uhuru Kenyatta. Why are we talking about him?
Because the president is talking about him.
Because, listen to me.
Yes.
Dr. Mongi here says he handed power in broad daylight.
That's it.
That was expected of him. And then from there, he retires. We didn't talk about Kibaki when he handed over power to, because he retired. Uhuru did not retire. He doesn't want to retire. Simple. That's why we're talking about him. That is why he's getting the blame. Because if he retired, who would be interested in talking to him about him or anything? Why would you ask him? Why would we bother? Whether he referred to RUTO as president or otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
But he has taken a microphone, unless you didn't see it. Raila is still my leader. We have had an election, presidency declared, and he is a former president. I mean, some of these things, it's not rocket science. He was not prepared. He was bitter that his candidate lost. For example, when he's fighting for Jubilee, today give him Jubilee. What does he want with it? It's because he's still in the field. And if he's still in the field, then he's in the mix of politics. He didn't go home. He doesn't want to retire. He wants us to keep talking about him. In fact, we shouldn't be talking about him. But we need to, because we have to. Because he's in the field. He's in the league.
Yes. What right do we give former President Uhuru Kenyatta in as much as him being a Kenyan citizen is concerned?
No,
he has a right.
He has got all the rights. He has all the rights.
To take a side?
To take a side, yes.
And Mheshimiwa, it's not the very first time we've seen retired presidents take a side and even go into active campaigns, isn't it? I mean, even former President Barack Obama took a side and was actively involved in campaigns that saw Biden rise to presidency. Why does that seem an issue to the Kenya Kwanza government? That's what he's asking.
I don't think you're fair to compare, because we have had issues here.
Yes.
We have this mandamano. We have this, which came 4 months after we entered office. And not that this economy was doing better when Uhuru was president.
Yes.
In fact, it was the same, but they are not bringing a solution. They are coming out to say, yes, you want to tell me RUTO doesn't know Kenyans are hungry? You want to tell me he would want Kenyans to be hungry? That's what he's saying. Call me.
Does it?
Let's talk.
Let's talk.
So that you tell me what is it that you think we can do.
But
he's not going to the streets.
That's it. He's also saying, as opposed to you using my name every time something goes wrong in this country, I'm not doing it. So come, let's talk. That's Uhuru Kenyatta was saying that to the president.
You're not talking.
Yes.
Nobody is really telling us. What is it that you want us to talk? You tell me.
He's already said it. That the Kenya Kwanza government is saying, well, I am funding all the mandamanos in this country, but I'm not. So come, let's talk. That's what he's saying, Mheshimiwa.
Let me say this.
Yes.
Uhuru brought himself in this mix because he has refused to go home. If he went home, nobody would be talking about it.
Yes. Is the problem...
But the politics we have...
Yes.
Of Mandamano, if you are in politics,
yes.
He is in politics. He's telling his youth, let's get out because we are hungry. I'm in politics. I'm telling my youth, please, this will not get you anywhere. It's not going to bring food on the table. Stay away. So that's talking.
Is the problem him not retiring, Mheshimiwa? Is that what the problem is?
I think you're not getting me right.
He
is actively in politics.
In politics, isn't it?
That's all.
And he has a right to do that, isn't it?
Yes, he has.
So why?
Then he is in the league.
That's it.
So what happens in politics happens to him.
So let's treat him
so
as
he cannot get himself out of it.
That's it. So let's treat him as a politician then.
He's a politician.
You've said, well, you're a politician who's sponsoring all the demonstrations in the country. Fine. But then he says, I'm not. Then he tells you, if you think I'm the one who is sponsoring them, I'm right here. Come, let's talk. I can't call you. Come, let's find a solution to this problem. But then we're not seeing that essentially getting extended to him.
So is he calling him to so that they discuss so that he stops funding or he stops sponsoring? Is that what you're telling me?
To find a solution.
No.
Yes.
Solution to what? So that I can pull my gang?
If that is what it takes, Mheshimiwa. Yeah?
Then there you are.
Yeah, because if you say...
Then there you are.
Yes, because if you say that I'm the one sponsoring, I tell you no, and then I tell you, come, let's meet then, so we know exactly where this problem is coming from, and then you refuse, who becomes the problem in that particular...
I don't think he has refused. You know, the subject of talking,
yes.
You are the one now who's telling us. Nobody has said what needs to be talked.
Does it?
Yeah, nobody has said. Even the church, when they say, let these people talk,
yes.
Nobody is saying, talk about what? What is it that you want us to talk? I cede presidency? Or I bring you in the government? Or what? Nobody is saying this. Because we know what Raila wants. My friend, do you know I was with Raila in parliament? Do you know he walked out of government? Something that maybe his troops may not know. It's because he wants to get there. And he's in such a haste. He was a very senior minister in Kibaki government. We were in NAC together. I can tell you today, Raila delivered Naivasha seat in 2002. He came and campaigned in Naivasha. My husband was the MP. He wasn't well. One afternoon, he leads his troops to the opposition, and he's in the government. So besides what we are saying here, is a person I know. But he makes us believe that he cares so much for us, for the community, for Kenyans. Well, actually, it's about himself. And he's able to drive the youth with him. One, because the economy is doing very badly, but it is not doing worse than it was when Uhuru was there, when he was in the government himself, when he was his friend. Some of these things, we need to go a little bit further back there.
Yes.
We want a peaceful country. I wish this government of less than a year is given a chance to lay the table, fix the economy.
Yes.
But you didn't tell me, because I was hungry yesterday and RUTO has taken power, I'll have food the following day.
Let's take a tiny breather right here on the morning brief. Once we come back, Anthony and Dr. Mwangi, you have a hard task then to come in those particular sentiments there from Mheshimiwa then. Indeed, because Uhuru Kenyatta is saying, if you think that I'm the problem, Anthony, that I'm sponsoring all these demonstrations in the country, then I'm not. But if you think you are, that I am, instead of intimidating me and my family, come here, let's talk, tell me I'm sponsoring them, and then after that we can see what the problem is. But then again, is the problem Uhuru Kenyatta not retiring? Is that where the problem is? Once we come back right here, it is the calls for truce. Indeed, as they say, sentiments are changing. Is that essentially us driving closer and closer to that truce? Once we come back right here on The Morning Drift.
The future is hands-on, and Sensei College is at the front line of technical institutes in Kenya, offering practical and skill-based courses accredited by all concerned bodies, TVETA, NTSA and NITA. Sensei College offers driving and plant operator, cosmetology, fashion and design, mechanics, hydroponics and irrigation, installation, building construction, hospitality, photography and video production, electrical and electronics repairs, and ICT courses. Get free plant operator training when you enroll for plant mechanics, free driving when you enroll for motor vehicle mechanics, and free riding when you enroll for motorcycle mechanics. The requirement is an ID only, with intakes every first week of the month. We have 2 campuses in Nakuru and Nairobi. We provide meals and accommodation. Sensei College. My skills, my future.
Once again, tuko hapa Angel Center for Abandoned Kids, all because of you.
My name is Catherine Wanjiru. I am the admin, Angel Center for Abandoned Children. Our founder is Wamaitha Mwangi. We currently have 64 children, 32 going to school, and among those 32, 2 are special children, and we are left at the home with 32. Now the toddlers and the infants. To the RUTO Foundation, thank you so much for remembering us. Guys, we lack words. We lack words. Amazing. We don't know what to say. Thank you for remembering us. You made a promise and you have delivered. And may God bless you. To my fellow Kenyans, as usual, cheza loto, sio ndoto. Angel Center tumeshinda loto.
Every time you play lotto, 25% goes to the RUTO Foundation, which supports our fellow Kenyans through various causes. Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Drift. We are still here talking about this particular issue. We're calling it a call for truce. And what we're reading here is that indeed sentiments and hearts are changing from those ends that have been put on the spotlight then for being behind all the demonstrations in the country. As I wait to receive your comments right here in the studio, I'll be reading over them. Let me cross over to Anthony. Anthony, 2 issues that Mheshimiwa is bringing to light. Looks as if the problem is a man who was a president but has refused to retire. So he's an active politics in the country, so we have to treat him like a politician. And number 2, the question that I asked is that if Uhuru Kenyatta is saying, well, I can't call the president, is the president who's going to make the call, sort of pushing the ball to RUTO's court and saying, well, make a call, I will heed because you're the president. Who's to blame in this particular situation? Who needs to be the bigger boy in this particular situation? Anthony.
You know, Elijah,
yes.
When we went into the elections and the elections outcome were announced by IBC, and the former president, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, handed over power to His Excellency William Samoei Ruto. And history has it that President Uhuru was not in politics until I think it got to a point where the Kenya Kwanza regime decided to bring him back into politics by not allowing him to retire. And how did they do this? Mm-hmm. Maybe when they were not able to run government, they decided that Uhuru Kenyatta is going to be the scapegoat, so that in every of their meetings, they blamed all the ills, everything that was not going right in government, on the former president. And it's on record. top leaders of the Kenya Kwanza administration decided that all of the problems that this country is facing, maybe because of their inefficiencies, they decided that the problem is going to be Uhuru Kenyatta. And Uhuru Kenyatta is on record saying that his plans were to retire in peace, and we even at some point saw him in his land in Narok, driving his double cabin, going on with his life. But when they brought him back into politics, and I'm glad you also said that we have not seen this in Kenya, I mean maybe in the world for the first time, where we have a former president continuing to be active in politics.
Yes.
When Kenya Kwanza decided to bring back Uhuru Kenyatta into politics, it was like, yes, then if that's a case, then let us continue. Barack Obama today is the biggest campaigner for Democratic Party in the United States of America. He's not a sin. It is his constitutional right if he wants to continue enjoying politics. But what has the Kenya Kwanza regime done in return? They are trying to use all manner of things to intimidate him, to deny him privileges that are given to him by the Constitution, withdrawing his security, withdrawing the security of a former first lady just because he's a mother to the former president, to an extent of sending uniformed police officers to harass his children. Elijah, if we say that the problem is Uhuru Kenyatta, and as I said when I started, Uhuru Kenyatta has all the right to continue being involved in Kenya's politics. Again, when we see him recognizing that indeed William Ruto is the president, for me it is good news. But the bat stops with the president of the day if he finds it important to call Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
And Uhuru Kenyatta himself said that he has met, when he was president, he met frequently with the former president Moi Kibaki. He met frequently with the former president Moi. It is not the other way around, where it's a Moi and Kibaki who are looking for him. But now, if we want to allow Uhuru to continue in politics, we let him be, and we continue as it is.
Dr. Mwangi, that particular situation right there, where there seems to be a problem between the two, there's a bitter words getting exchanged. Let me quote President Ruto. That's what he said. Na kama wewe wezi acha kusponsor hii maandamano, tutakusafirisha pamoja na yu mzee. That's a bitter man right there. You can interpret that particular statement in whatever way that you want to interpret it, but then if there seems to be a simmering problem between the two, somebody somewhere is saying, well, with whatever the place where this situation has gotten to, look here, I'm right here, just call me up, you're my president, I'll come. So we find a solution to this. Is the problem Uhuru refusing to retire, or is the problem of Ruto deciding not to essentially take the trajectory that former presidents have taken when Raila Amolo Odinga has become a problem? And I'm using problem in quotes, Dr. Mwangi.
I think in my view,
yes,
what we are seeing now is a battle postponed from 2018. It's a battle postponed because if you can take Uhuru Kenyatta for his words, he said, and he said many times before,
yes,
when Raila Odinga saw himself as the people's president in Uhuru Park, there was a crisis in the country. And William Ruto, then deputy president, was of the view that they should reign hard, wakae gumu. They should kaa gumu and obliterate Raila Odinga, send him to Bodo.
Yes.
Uhuru Kenyatta as president said no, will not do that. So at that point, they went different ways. Uhuru Kenyatta went ahead and did the handshake, brought peace to the country. Never mind that we lost the value of an opposition, because it is very important to have a strong opposition. Never mind that we lost that. So he took that trajectory. William Ruto, then Deputy President,
yes,
felt betrayed by his president because he saw Raila Odinga as his main opponent to stand against his dream to be president. And I think we all know after that, if we go back to history, the story of Tagatanga, so they went different ways.
Yes.
And as it were, it is said that then Raila Odinga became part of government. Although facts be facts, he never got any position. None of his ODM brigade got any position. In fact, one senior counsel, Amolo Otiede, has said that they actually suffered because they had to support views that they may have had a different view, but because of the exigency of the day.
Yes.
So now, fast forward, Uhuru goes ahead and supports Raila Odinga against William Ruto. So, Ruto must have been bitter about that. I supported you, you have abandoned me. You are fighting against me. So, now, let's face it. Whatever the circumstances, William Ruto is now the president of the Republic of Kenya. Whatever battles that may have been there,
yes,
he has remained in the past. He has brought his battle with Uhuru and continued with it, battled them together with Raila Odinga. At whose expense? At the expense of Kenyans. When Uhuru Kenyatta handed over power, the US dollar, $1 US was 120. Today, go and buy a US dollar. You'll pay 147 or thereabout. The official channel is 142. Never mind. Yesterday, the FedEx in the US have increased the interest rates again by 1%. And that is going to boomerang. They are trying to control inflation. We have a global high inflationary situation. It is not a Kenyan problem. And be it as it is, the Kenya shilling would have continued to weaken against the dollar, be it as it is.
Yes.
But it has accelerated much faster because of the uncertainty in this market. Nobody knows what to expect. We don't know. We are not able to read the lips of the government. Today, they say this, tomorrow they say that. And markets hate uncertainty. Kenya shilling has been battered even by the Ugandan shilling, by the Tanzanian shilling. All those currencies have been strengthening against the Kenya shilling. We who are in real work, because we are in real work, we who are running corporations, the conversation at the table now is how to retrench,
awesome,
how to send people home. That is the conversation, because we are not able to predict.
Yes.
The government, the Kenya Kwanza government, has failed to stabilize the boat.
Yes.
And when I say the buck stops with the president, it doesn't matter what his problem is with Raila Odinga. They can play poker games because they are friends. They have been together. They founded ODM together in Kisumu. They can play poker games. They can continue to play poker games while we Kenyans continue to suffer. I dare say that the issues that we should be talking about are well known. I think there was a bipartisan talks. And by the time the bipartisan talks were being done, the Azimio Brigade had their issues. The Kenya Kwanza brigades added on to them. Those issues which remained very, very pertinent. How do we address the cost of living? And believe you me, nobody has a magic bullet. I think Kenyans should know that even if people are to come on the table to bring down the cost of living. It's not going to take anybody, neither of them. But for purposes of the market, because we have local investors, we have international investors, we want to be able to see where we're going.
Yes.
So the talk about cost of living and giving the right signals. Because what is the role of government? I think we know 60 years down the line that government does not do business. Government does not know how to do business. Whenever government tries to do business, and there are many examples, it doesn't work. The role of government is to create an enabling environment for private sector to thrive.
Pretty much.
And when the government fails to do that,
yes,
it doesn't matter President William Ruto what problem he has. If he wants to exterminate Raila Odinga, because that seems to have been his way, I think he needs to get to the point of saying, look, this man belongs to Kenya. Let him leave, release Uhuru. Uhuru did wrong, according to him, not to support him and to have a handshake.
Yes.
He's now out of the way. Uhuru is saying, you are my president. What do you want me to do? I am ready. And I agree with him. He cannot be the one to call. You know, it is the other way around. Because you are the one running the house.
Yes, sir.
So how can I help? So we would wish, and we who are Kenyans down there, I don't belong to Azimio, neither do I belong to Kenya Kwanza. I belong to Kenya. We who are Kenyans, we want Kenya to work. And we are ready to work. We want peace. And you three men, please get to the table and talk.
That's it. Mheshimiwa, that the problem is that it starts and ends with RUTO, the president, but then the problem within there is that Raila doesn't come alone, he comes with Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta doesn't come alone, he comes with Raila Amolo Odinga. That's why RUTO has not picked this to be his own issue, because he has to deal with two people who don't come single-handedly. You talk to Raila Amolo Odinga, you're talking to Uhuru Kenyatta. You talk to Uhuru Kenyatta, you're talking to Raila Amolo Odinga.
First and foremost, let me tell Daktari here.
Yes.
Not getting a position in the government doesn't mean you are not in government. There are a lot of gains in government that Raila got. That's why he went quiet. He didn't have a position. He got a lot of goodies. His people got a lot of goodies, business with the government, and that's why he went down. So, saying that Raila he didn't get a position, nobody got a position, that's not it. Why did he go down? It's because he got what he wanted. Now, here we are. And I'm telling you, I'm talking about people I know. You may not know, I don't know where you are in 2003. When Raila walked out on Kibaki, to go and form opposition or be in opposition because of a document or an agreement that Kenya were not private to Kenyans, we didn't know what it was called MOU. Because it's about Raila. Let's not go beat about the bush. It's Raila who must get to government, and he use all means, he use all reasons to get to the government. That's what it is. Because if he was with Uhuru in 2021, yes, 2022, and the economy was doing so badly, the doctor here has just told us, this is a global problem. And you want to incite the youth that the problems you are having is because the government is not being run properly. A government of less than 1 year. A government that has a plan. A government that is saying this is how we want to do things. But you are so impatient because you want to destabilize him, you want things to go your way so that you are called to the table. I am sure Raila picks a phone and calls RUTO. RUTO will answer. Both ways. It doesn't have to be who. They have talked many times. I'd want to imagine. So I think we need to be honest with ourselves that Ruto got power, he needed to be given time to lay the tables and start building the economy. But when you tell me I was hungry yesterday, I must feed today because Ruto is there, then you are being very dishonest. Let them come and talk. What? This is not what. This is something I've not heard. Because if you are sponsoring Mandamano and you think that you should not do it, just don't do it. We don't have to talk about it. I've unleashed youths there. I've told them go. But if I change my mind, I'll tell them don't go. So you don't tell us that Raila is not in the streets. Raila doesn't have to go to the streets. He only need to say where he is. And say we have Mandamano. Today we are mourning.
Yes.
Today, yesterday, like they were mourning yesterday.
Is Raila Amolo Odinga a Kenyan issue, Mheshimiwa?
He's a big problem in this country.
Is he a Kenyan problem?
He is a big problem in this country.
Who's supposed to solve that particular problem currently as
it is him.
What's that? You're saying is a big
It is him.
Fine.
It is him. Like now, yesterday, let
yes.
me say this.
Yes.
Yesterday,
yes.
they were mourning those people who died. And if they were killed by police, those who were killed by police, I really don't advocate for that.
That's it.
But again, did they have to die? Did they have to die? So that you mourn. Is mourning a celebration? Mourning, children. Have we seen police bleeding? Do you know we have never had a political, peaceful Mandamano in this country? They're saying we are having a peaceful Mandamano. There has never been.
Yes.
Political Mandamano in this country has to be violent. And I have never had Raila condemning violence. This one I must say. He only says we have Mandamano. And then his team knows how they go for that Mandamano.
Mheshimiwa, for the sake of our audience who are listening to you this morning, when we say that Raila Amolo Odinga is a big problem to this country, is that for the government of the day then, it seems to be a problem again for the government of the day. Is that not what you mean, isn't it?
Because he even doesn't have things his way, then the country will never settle.
Yes.
Because he'll call his brigade.
Fine.
Yeah? Let me tell you something.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. When we are in parliament, with those members of parliament from his side, they'll tell us, we know we need to be re-elected. So if Mandamano is called, we have to come out. It's not that they all need. In fact, they were telling us, you people had very organized campaigns. You defeated us. And that one they know. But then, Raila calls for Mandamano.
Yes.
They have to go. Because if you don't go, if you don't go, you'll be punished.
Yes, that becomes a government issue, isn't it? Which therefore makes me ask you the question, then what is the government of the day doing to find a solution to this big problem for this particular government, Mheshimiwa? All eyes are on who now? Is it on RUTO to find a solution, isn't it?
If he says there's not going to be Mandamano, that's trying to find a solution.
But then
don't do it.
Fine. He says there's no
Don't do it.
He says there's no Mandamano.
He's not going to ken Raila like a baby.
Fine. Then the next day we see Mandamano.
You know, if Raila is a baby, he'll be kenned the way you ken your child.
Is that the failure then? Is that a failure for him to find a solution? If indeed it's stopping Raila Amolo Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta from then sponsoring all the demos in the
then
country.
if it's failure, then it has been failure since multi-party, because we have had this thing not once, not twice.
Yes.
And that is how he got into handshake last time. That is why he got in Kibaki's government last time.
Yes.
That is why he got in Moi's government last time.
What is the question that we should be asking President Ruto this morning? If this is a problem for his government, what is the question that we should be asking?
We are saying, let them sort it out the best way they know how. He has said, I'm a call away. Let him call. But we cannot say that this has happened now because Ruto is president. I am telling you, I was with Raila. Raila delivered Naivasha seat, I told you. And he was with us. Somewhere along the line, he gets lost because he's not gotten the top. I wish he was patient with Kibaki the way Ruto was patient with Uhuru when he was the deputy president. He was there being mistreated. Even the Tanga he's referring to. It is Uhuru who told us Ruto is just Tanga-Tangering. But he's stuck there. Now this is where he is. Raila would have been the president. This impatience of his and dragging everybody, dragging the youth, because there are no jobs, then come.
Anthony.
Killing, getting other children killed. Raida's daughter is in East African Assembly. His brother is in Senate. His sister is with us in Parliament. It is about him. But he's able to cajole this youth and tell them, this is our problem. Actually, it is his problem.
Anthony, just 2 minutes. I'm going to come back with you as well. If indeed we are cognizant, like Mheshimiwa is saying, that Raila Amolo Odinga is a problem to this country, all eyes go to the government in place to solve that particular problem, because we're treating Raila Amolo Odinga as a Kenyan. I could be a problem to this country. You could be a problem to this country. So we look at the government of the day for a solution. Are we seeing failure from the current government to give us a solution to the Raila problem then?
The government of the day is misguided in assuming that Raila Odinga is a problem. Because the problems that Kenyans are facing today, and it's in the public domain, and Kenyans are complaining about the cost of living. Kenyans are complaining today as we sit here about police brutality. And as you have seen, sometimes when these maandamanos happen, Raila Odinga does not have to be at the forefront. Kenyans will still come out and they will demonstrate. Mm-hmm. The problem is not Raila Amolo Odinga. The problem is the government of the day. Yeah?
Yes.
The problem is the government of the day, and I'm very happy to hear that Mheshimiwa here recognizes that there has been indeed some young people who have borne the brunt of the gun, where people have met their deaths through brutality of the police. So when we say that Raila Odinga is a problem and Uhuru Kenyatta is sponsoring maandamano, it is when the government wants to run away from the truth. It is when the government maybe does not have a plan on how we can address the problems that are facing our people. When we say the price of unga has gone up, and as I was reading the papers, even the millers are saying we have started receiving maize, cheaper maize from Uganda and Tanzania.
Yes.
But we have also another problem. The cost of electricity will not allow us to bring the cost of unga down.
Yes.
They are saying the packaging cost is too high. Why? Because the government has gone ahead to even give us a finance. Now it's an act because it was, the president appended, to the bill that has since been suspended by the court. We are seeing unwillingness by the government to stand for the people and address the problems that people are raising. Because if you look at the spirit of the Finance Act 2023, it is everything is going up. Yeah. So even as we say that Raila Odinga is a problem, is when we are trying to sit and run away from the real issues facing our people. Mm-hmm. The Kenya Kwanza regime is sitting in a utopia somewhere, and now they want to see, and that's why you see every day on TVs we have our minister, our CSs, chest thumping on how they are going to deal with Raila Odinga. Others even sending tweets at this time they are going to deal with him once and for all. He is not a problem. Let me tell you, no matter what happens to Raila Odinga, whatever happens, Kenyans will still continue saying this is our problem. And the best that the president can do is calm down, listen to the people.
Yes.
Let us talk. If we say we have an issue with the finance bill, and it's not only Azimio who are saying that we have an issue in this country.
Yes.
The clergy are saying, look, we have a problem with
Anthony,
finance.
I want you to hold your thoughts right there. We go for a tiny break. I'll be coming back to you. Dr. Mangi, once we come back then, there have been issues that we've observed during this time when Kenyans have been calling for a truce. The international community, Mheshimiwa, are saying, well, I mean, find a solution. Kenya is at the center of the economic performance of East Africa as a region. So why can't you find a solution? Once we come back, we'll be looking at the responses at what majority of the hardliners in both sides have had on this particular issue, plus the big rumors that Samia Hassan Suluhu was in the country from July 12th to 14th to try and broker a deal. But they have spoken around it once we come back right here on The Morning Drift.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection, added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park, fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
All right. Thank you very much for being a part and parcel of our conversation this morning. A lot of comments that are online. I would like to read this particular question that has been directed to Mheshimiwa on set. This is the question. Please uliza Honorable Madam, kama Uhuru angejiunga na Kenya Kwanza angekuwa wanazungumza juu yake. All right. Remember, when RUTO was sworn in, he said, "My government will not revenge," but now it is vice versa. All right. Mheshimiwa is beating around the bush. Ask her if she was president today, angedeal na Raila aje. Naza.
I would not deal with him. Why would I? If Moi was not able to deal with him, and everybody has, why would I deal with him? We don't need Raila, we don't need Uhuru in Kenya Kwanza. He's asking me if he joined Kenya Kwanza. We don't need him. He doesn't need to be in the Kenya Kwanza. He only needs to be a Kenyan, a statesman who is not indulging in politics, so that he leaves the league to the politicians. He leaves the leagues to young people like this one, because they are the ones in politics. If you come where we are, yes, then we play the same game.
Two-part question. If he was in Kenya Kwanza, would you be talking about him the way you're talking about him right now? That's that particular question that came in.
Did he hear me asking if he was given Jubilee, would he do with it? So that's what I asked. Because being in Kenya Kwanza, being in Jubilee, being an azimio,
yes,
what does it matter? He's retired. Yeah.
All right. That's Stephen Kariuki saying, Hon, thank you very much that she is on point. Stephen Kariuki saying, Naivasha, we are well represented by our Member of Parliament, Honorable Jane. Thank you very much, Peter. tell them the truth. That is Peter Oweru. James Kenya saying, following closely from Amboseli, good interview. Thank you very much. Also, James Kenya saying, well, I don't like the truth that you're talking about here this morning. All right, let's advance that particular conversation, Anthony, in this sense. Now, let's go into the second part of where majority of this conversation has gone. And I want to start like this. Last week, actually this week, Raila Amolo Odinga, they say on Tuesday that indeed one Samia Hassan Suluhu was in the country from July 12th to 14th, essentially trying to know where the problem is and try and see if she could broker a deal with her neighbors and say, well, your stability is also good for the stability of my economy, so I do not understand why this is going between the two of you. But we did see the reaction of the hardliners from both ends who said, we have not seen anything like that. In fact, the government set of spokesman did come and say, no, not aware of that particular deal or presence of Samia Hassan Suluhu in the country. Did you read anything into that? Do you think Raila Amolo Odinga could come and tell the nation that Samia Hassan Suluhu was in the country to try and broker a deal between the two of us, but she was snapped by the government?
For me, I think when I heard Raila Odinga say that President Samia Suluhu was in the country,
yeah.
I was excited because you see we have our neighbors who are concerned, and I will still hold on to the statement that things are not okay in this country. So we have neighbors in our East African community who are concerned about the well-being of a country. Friends of ours who have seen that things are not moving in the right direction, and the failure of this country is a failure of East Africa and Africa at large, because so much, yes. So many countries depend on our economy. So when our economy is not doing well, and we have seen the same president of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu, say that her country is recording big numbers,
yes,
in terms of investors who are leaving this country, yeah, because of the instability that is here, because of the bad state of the economy and the unwillingness by the current regime to solve the issues and propagate policies that are friendly to investors. And she has seen that those investors are relocating from Kenya to Tanzania.
Yes.
And she says this is not a good sign. She was invited by the president, William RUTO, according to Right Honorable Raila Odinga. And RUTO again snubbed. When Raila says, and Tanzania is a country that would not let their president travel from their country without following the laid down diplomatic protocols of a visiting president. So, and our government has also not denied that Samia Suluhu was here. Yeah, they have not denied. If you listen to Hussein Mohammed, they did not deny. Then, a few moments after Raila Odinga says that Samia Suluhu was here,
yeah,
the President Ruto went on Twitter and said that indeed he is also traveling to see Samia Suluhu. And it is at that point that he also indicated to Raila Odinga that, I am available at any point, anytime convenient to you,
yes,
to talk to us. So for me, it's a good sign, and I hope that the international community and our neighbors do not continue remaining quiet as our country is burning in the hands of a regime that, sort of even wants to turn this country into a police state.
Dr. Mwangi, second part of this conversation is this again. Yesterday, we would have essentially seen majority of Kenyans in the streets then, going into the riots that essentially have been in the country for quite some time now. But then there was a different tune. I just want us to look at that particular story, then come back and talk about exactly what the hardliners from the Kenya Kwanza side think on exactly how those particular demos were carried out. Because there's a reading that Raila Amolo Odinga is taking a softer stance when it comes to the demos in this country. But if you look at that message from the Azimio coalition, they said, we have not cancelled the demos. No. They said, we're going to take another tune in these demonstrations in terms of remembering all those Kenyans who've lost their lives during these demos. But then, Dr. Mwangi, they're saying, Raila Amolo Odinga is taking a softer stance because we're getting closer and closer to that particular deal. Once we come back then, we talk about it, and then ask this question, Dr. Mwangi, are there jitters from both ends, in the sense of that Raila Amolo Odinga this time doesn't come by himself, just like he did it in 2018. This time around, he has an entourage. If indeed it's about getting into the government, then Dr. Mwangi, something has to give. And the guys who've not got something in the Kenya Kwanza government are saying, if that essentially happens, we are out of this particular government for good. Once we come back, let's take a look at exactly that particular story of exactly how Kenyans then heeded to that call for the Azimio coalition to go to the streets yesterday, light candles and hold vigils for all those Kenyans who lost their lives in this particular demos. And the Azimio coalition is saying they are 50 Kenyans.
The first day of opposition coalition's prayers and vigil for supporters killed and injured in the coalition's demonstrations across the country began with the leaders led by Raila Odinga visiting the Mama Lucy and Kenyatta hospitals where some of the victims are recuperating. Later in the day, the leaders congregated at Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Foundation in Nairobi to pay respect for over 30 lives lost in the protests. Emotions ran high as candles were lit and wreaths laid beneath this banner that had pictures of some of those who met their death allegedly in the hands of police. Speakers here making their anger known, castigating the police for the heinous murder.
Tumeshangaa sana kuona ya kwamba taifa hili linaongozwa na uongozi ambao haufuati katiba, uongozi ambao hauangalii maadili ya Wakenya, maadili ya kwamba Mkenya lazima awe na haki ya kuishi. Hakuna ruhusa ya kumuua mtu yoyote ama Mkenya yoyote. Leo nasikitika kuona vijana wetu, vijana zaidi ya 50 wakipigwa marisasi, wakiuawa, wamekuwa tortured. Jabu ni kwamba wanaowapiga marisasi ni Wakenya wenzao.
However long it takes, those who are responsible for these unfortunate and premature deaths shall be held to account.
Professor Kithure Kindiki, who has been vocal instructing the police to stand firm in dealing with the demonstrators receiving bashing from Azimio leaders.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki, I don't know what has gone to him, seems to love that brutality and takes pride in it. He had offered some more and heavier dose of brutality and gunfire today, despite our announcement that we would only be holding vigils in honor of the victims.
Kazi ya kuua vijana wadogo, kazi ya kuua kina mama, kazi ya kuua wazee. Jamani, ni Wakristo wa aina gani hao? Ni Waislamu wa aina gani? Ni Biblia gani mnaoisoma inayoshurutisha kuua na kutoa roho za watu? Ni Kurani gani mnaoisoma inayoshurutisha kutoa roho za watu na kuua watu? And yet you call yourselves Christians, and yet you call yourselves Muslims.
The opposition team is standing firm.
That's exactly how it went then yesterday, and those are the pockets of those gatherings that we did see across the country. By the way, with one that we're not in Mombasa, we're going to talk about this morning of how police essentially went in and disbursed those particular gatherings. Okay, Dr. Mwangi, 2 questions in this. Now, 2 readings in this, and this is coming from the Kenya Kwanza side. We're saying, oh, the guys, we pushed them to the wall in terms of the way that we've essentially reacted to the demos in the country. And now the best way out is to cancel those demos, 1. And the second reading now, to that particular question that I asked you, in the case of a deal getting brokered between Raila Amolo Odinga and RUTO, Raila doesn't come by himself this time around. He's got hangers on. We're looking at him as well, saying, well, we are in this together. Is that why we are reading jitters from both sides?
Yes, obviously, a deal will be between, because it will be, we must have a deal. There is no war that ends in the field. The First World War, whichever,
yes,
all battles end on the table with an agreement. And therefore there will be a deal. And the deal, obviously the main protagonists is Right Honorable Raila Odinga and the president, because they are the leaders of their side. One in government, the other one in opposition. Having said that, it is very important that the players in Azimio do not feel betrayed. They are big players. Martha Karua is not a pushover. Kalonzo Musyoka is not a pushover. And all those that have acted together. And I think in the past, Raila Odinga has been accused of going to a deal on himself. You know, I hope and believe that he has learned his lessons. It's not about him. It's about the country.
Yeah.
And whatever we say, this country will be better off when there is a strong opposition and a strong government. And a strong opposition is not one man. It should be a team. Because we also must look into the whole arrangement. So to that extent, then, those around him may be feeling, they may be, this time round, I hope you don't betray us.
Yeah.
I hope you carry us along. On the Kenya Kwanza side, you see, let's face it, everything is about interests. We will work together if your interest and my interest have an intersection. I do not want to blame Raila Odinga to have personal interests. He has personal interests. That's why he's in siasa. You're in politics to achieve a particular goal. RUTO has his interests. He's the president. And he has carried along. There are some people who are in the Kenya Kwanza government, courtesy of the president. They are there. And they may be wondering, will my position be safe?
No, sir.
If a deal gets done, will my position be safe? There are some of them whose currency is to wage war against one Raila Odinga and one William Ruto. Now, once that is over, some of them are wondering, how shall we survive? What will our value be? Because some of them maybe are there because of their ability to speak four language. We know there are some people who are CSs who are very strong with four language, and they will do that, and then they say, I am now born again. And then they are summoned by the NCIC. Then later on they go back. They don't tell us when they stop being born again.
Yeah.
So their currency is that. So on both sides, we would expect that there are people who will be wondering, what will our position be? What will our value be? But let's tell them.
Yes.
There are only a few people.
Do they make that a problem for RUTO to actually go back to that negotiating table?
Definitely. You know, you have your troops and the people who you value.
Yes.
And you know, and you want them to know that you have not forgotten them. Yes, the people around you will affect how you think, how you decide, because you want to carry them along.
Yes.
Both sides. However, leadership is about the leader. And in every organization, there has to be a leader. In a home, there has to be a leader. In this company, there has to be a leader. The leader of the government is RUTO. The leader of the opposition is Raila. As they do what they are doing, they have to do what is best.
Yes.
In the best interest, of course, of themselves. And I would urge them that they take the rest of us. The interest of 60 million Kenyans is much, much more important than the interest of any individual.
Yes.
About the maandamano and what happened yesterday, By the way, look, who wants maandamano? I think we are all tired of maandamano. We are tired. It is not fun for even jobless young people to run to the streets and be killed. It is not fun. Never mind whether they have a shilling or not for the day.
Yes.
Even if there are people who get paid to go, not many. Those are the spark. Nobody takes fun. Nobody is interested in maandamano. And therefore, if there can be a way to solve the problem. So calling off the maandamano was a good thing to do whatever it is they were doing. But I dare say, I believe at the back there is some shadow diplomacy. I hope so.
Does it feel like that?
That is why we hear that Suluhu came. I don't know whether she came. I find it completely ridiculous that a president can invite another president to come and then snub them. I don't know the truth about that, but I'm not saying that Raila Odinga did not speak the truth.
Yes.
But it sounds, I invite you to my house and then you come and I refuse to open the door. That sounds ridiculous to me. I don't know the truth. But Madam Suluhu, I think she's very well placed. Tanzania is a very peaceful country. She's doing a great job, I can tell you. We Kenyans right now, because the work that I do, we are importing maize from Tanzania. We are importing figure millet from Tanzania. We are importing, they are having a bumper harvest. The country, in a way, is now competing at a very high level compared to Kenya for foreign direct investment, which people wanted to come to Kenya. And we are slowly losing. We need to get back there. So I hope that there is discussion at the back. Therefore, the calling of maandamano must be related to, look, give dialogue a chance. But what did we hear? Yes, the president said, I'm ready for you, by Twitter. What did we see from State House? The spokesperson of State House announcing the itinerary for the president. He will be in a tour of the coast. And so on one hand, so this is a president who is saying, I am going to continue working. He is portraying, I will continue to work. He's giving an impression that, you know, whatever you guys want to do, we'll deal with you. So, but may we see truce. May we have peace.
Yes. Mheshimiwa, that's so many questions that I have for you here. I don't know what time that we're going to have. It looks as if a lot of guys are watching us this morning. Thank you very much. I do promise we're going to get 5 minutes where the panel essentially just digs into your questions and then gets to answer them. The same question that we are putting to Dr. Mwangi right there. Mheshimiwa, in the case of a deal, and it's a good thing that you're saying Raila Amolo Odinga, it's just about Raila Amolo Odinga. But then we're looking at the Raila Amolo Odinga now in 2023, and we're saying he doesn't come alone. Scottish people were sticking with him throughout this walk of pushing to get a deal. That in the event there's a conversation for a deal, which we are hoping for, that majority of Kenyans are hoping for, that we need political peace in the country. This time around, it's just not going to be about Raila Amolo Odinga, because Raila Amolo Odinga is being told this time around it's not just you. Therefore, the jitters from the Kenya Kwanza side of people who've not got a position in this government, who felt like their political obedience has not been rewarded by the president. Hence, the tough issue on the table for RUTO, saying, I wish it was the Raila for 2018. I would have just spoken to him. But this time around, it's not just him.
You know, some of these things, we are just speculating. I'll take you back a little bit.
Yes.
It is unlikely that our president would invite President of Tanzania and snub her. Some of these things are just ridiculous. We have seen invitation of even Kikwete. He was invited to come and broker peace here. So this Samia Suluhu thing, today we read that she was on holiday. Yes, she was in Kenya, she was on holiday. So who invited her here? You know, some of these things, they're not even worth our discussion here. Because it's just people trying to build conversation out of nothing.
Odinga said it.
I will not tell you that Raila will not lie, like Mwangi has said. Maybe he would have hoped, maybe he tried to look for her when he was here.
Yes.
To invite her to talk to the president or something like that.
Yes.
When you say what is Dr. RUTO doing to talk to Odinga or maybe to sort Odinga out, you know, he brought a few proposals to Parliament. He has done that to bring a proposal, one on the two-third gender rule, and also creating an official opposition office. Just like Mwangi says, we need a strong opposition. We don't need Raila in the government so that he's quiet. We need an office for him as official opposition leader. He said, no, he doesn't need the office. It was not being put there or proposed for Raila the man. He's not going to be there forever. We are not going to be there forever. But it is always, it is in order to have a strong opposition in any country. This one you must know. So when you say what has he done, I think that is the most brilliant thing that he did, to propose to Parliament to create an office for the official opposition, where he will meet everybody and anybody with proposals, yes, including the government, and also his team. Because, you know, when we have a PG, we discuss what we are going to bring on the floor. If he has a PG from an official position or an office, they are going to talk what they're going to bring to the House. And that is how you run a government. So you cannot keep on saying it is Raila is RUTO's problem when he has tried to solve and he's not taking it seriously, because actually it is opposition, needed opposition. You cannot tell youth to go out and loot and steal, and you tell us it is demonstration. Later we have seen demonstrations, peaceful demonstrations by other organizations. We have seen. So demonstration is hide and seek. Who is going to throw the biggest stone and hit a policeman? Policemen are our brothers, they are our husbands, they are our children. So we should not actually have them fighting each other, the youth the other side, because they are all Kenyans. How do we do that? It is taking the real issues at hand. And the real issues here is about Raila. If he's called, by the way, my contract is with Naivasha people. Whether they talk or they don't talk.
Yes.
I have no jitters, I have no problem.
Yes.
I have a contract with Naivasha people. If they say I'll be there, I'll be there. So for me, them talking so that we have peace. Yes. I need peace for these children. I need peace for this country. In fact, the children and women suffer when there are any chaos in the country. So no policeman is supposed to die.
Yes.
No youth is supposed to die.
Yes.
But also the government should be given time. We had this drought, long drought.
Yes.
And that is why maize is coming from Tanzania. Just 2 months ago, there was no maize even to bring. So even if we talk about unga, and there is no maize,
yes,
there is really nothing we can do. So how do we address this? How do we address the drought? How do we address the economy that went down mostly post-COVID? So these are the things that the president has laid his plan to do, but because also, don't forget, there's jealous. They don't want Ruto to perform so that there is no comparison.
Yes.
That one I can assure you.
Mheshimiwa,
He has a plan.
I would like to take a tiny breather. I'm going to come back with you because you have a lot of comments by there that are coming here. I'll give you that chance to clear your sentiments on that particular one. Again, it will be a good time for me to go out like this because there's comments and just so many. Thank you very much for watching us. Pass my greetings to Member of Parliament, to my Member of Parliament, Jane. We love you, Muhesh. Thank you very much. Peter Aweri also saying, Naivasha well represented by Honorable. Collins Minor saying, totally agreed with my Member of Parliament, Jane. Kenya is bigger than Raila. We'll keep on reading them. And those questions that you've asked, I'll be putting them across the panel once we come back and then get into the last part of our conversation this morning on what we're waiting for you to respond to then. If indeed it's a deal they need. Are Ruto's hands tied? Once we come back right here on The Morning Draft.
The county government of Nyeri, with approval of His Excellency the Governor, Mutahi Kahiga, has granted 100% waiver on all interest and penalty accrued on all outstanding land rates. Property owners in Nyeri County are advised to take advantage of the waiver period that starts from 30th June 2023 and ends on 28th July 2023 on condition that the principal rates are paid in full. Property owners are advised to obtain invoices from the Sub-County Revenue Office where the property is located and make payment by depositing cash or banker's check to a bank account. Take notice that once the waiver period lapses, the county government will institute all necessary measures to recover any unpaid rates and penalties, including repossessing the property.
Maisha ni magumu, mara hutoki, mara kama wataka kutoka mbwa mama shauri yako utashikwa, varudi ndani ya nyumba na wajukuu wako.
Siku ya leo sasa hivi tuko katika kaunti ya Kwale. Sehemu hii inajulikana kama Simba. Madhumuni yetu ni kuhakikisha kwamba tunabadilisha maisha ya watu kama 800. Kila mmoja atakuwa anapokea chakula, yote ni kwa hisani ya RUTO Foundation.
Naambia asante sana. Tunaomba tupate zaidi ya hivi.
Nashukuru sana alhamdulillah kwa kupata chakula hiki. Kwa hivyo mimi nasema asante sana tena sana.
RUTO Foundation nasema tunashukuru, tunawaomba wakati mwingine kututembelea.
Kumbuka wakati ambapo unacheza loto, 25% inatumika kufanikisha shughuli hii. Sasa hivi tunavyozungumza takriban milioni 600 imetumika kubadilisha maisha ya watu kwa hisani ya RUTO Foundation. That is why tunasema kila wakati RUTO Foundation, changing lives.
All right, let's chat the last part of our conversation this morning, and it comes like this. We're going to give Mheshimiwa then her time to clear those sentiments before we cross over to Anthony this morning. Mheshimiwa, in the event that what we have getting represented by the Azimio coalition is that it's just between you and us, that this deal that is getting brokered here is between Ruto and Raila. That's what we're getting represented with. If you look at the bipartisan talks, by the way, it's a good thing we're talking about this because even as we speak now, the Kenya Kwanza side also called on the Azimio coalition this week, saying, look here, you pulled out, fine, for us, we are still there. We're good intention, we want you to come back so we can actually continue with those negotiations and see whether we can get something out of it. But the Azimio side is already saying, no, we're not going to go back to that. We pulled out of it, and so that's it. That represents a situation where the Azimio side is saying, well, you have to meet our demands, whether you like it or not. It's a deal that we're looking for. To the face of Kenyans, they're looking for a deal. But are Ruto's hands tied, Mheshimiwa, that in this sense now, Raila is not alone?
First and foremost, then those are not negotiations. If you come with a position that you cannot change, then you are not ready for discussion. because it is we negotiate. And that is why it's bipartisan talks.
Yes.
And I want to tell you that those people that have been put there by Kenya Kwanza
yes.
represent government side or RUTO side. They're those ones with Raila. So they are not talking their own things. They are talking their president's opinion.
Does it?
Or their leaders' opinions. Mm-hmm. So for me, saying that if RUTO hands are tied, I don't think they are tied. RUTO has a government to run, and I'll not be bothered who he talks to.
Yes.
Personally, I'll not be bothered because he has a country to run, and if he feels talking to Raila, but for me and maybe for him, I do not know about him.
Yes.
What they want us to talk about, that one has not come through. Because if I talk to Raila, and I've spoken to him, by the way, I was with him at the burial of the late Mukami Kimani.
Yes.
And I addressed him personally. I told him, tafadhali na kuomba, usirudi kwa barabara. Let the government work. Give the government a chance. If the president feels, I told you that is his friend. He has been a leader in this country since he was 39. He was in 30s when he was elected the first time. You don't want to tell me that RUTO doesn't know what he wants with this government. So if he thinks talking to Raila would maybe make him work better, so be it. I really have no say. I cannot say don't talk to him. But as for me, I am asking myself,
yes.
What is it that you are talking to him? What is it that, you are not, nobody is telling us.
But
people are just saying, let them talk.
Yes.
Let them talk. Let them talk.
Yes.
But nobody is saying, give him this is what he wants.
Yeah.
No, talk about maize. Where would he bring maize from if he became the president? What would he do? Nobody is saying what they need to talk about. But being who
yes.
he is, and somebody we
yes.
have had,
yes.
I'm telling you, I was with Raila in Parliament before.
Yeah.
I was with Uhuru in Parliament,
yes.
official position. I was RUTO MP for Eldoret North. I was with Kalonzo,
yeah.
MP for Mwingi. I was with Martha Karua, MP for Gicho. I was with these people. So even when they open their mouth, I'm able to know where you are coming from and what you want. So when I'm saying there is a lot of dishonesty in this thing, it's just one selfish person.
Does it?
And who
yes.
who the president has proposed,
yes.
we get an office. Whether it's him who is going to occupy now,
yes.
it's going to be occupied by somebody in the future. But please leave our children out of the streets just because you want to be in the government.
Anthony, here's the thing. And I like the way Muhesh is avoiding my question. But I'll be coming back to you again on that particular one.
Okay.
That Raila Amolo Odinga is not coming alone this time on the negotiation table. It's a completely different Raila Amolo Odinga from 2018. 2018, we did see how majority of his close allies accused him of just getting a deal for himself, and that was it. Whatever deal he got, no Kenyan knows. Whatever deal Raila Amolo Odinga brokered with Uhuru Kenyatta. Good. This time around, Raila Amolo Odinga is not coming alone on the table. Is that what RUTO is looking at and then saying, well, hands are tied? Because RUTO also has people around him who also feel like they've got nothing in his government. We did see how the CNS's positions went the other day at the courts. All of a sudden now, there are so many eyes that are looking at RUTO and asking him, what about me? And that's the same question that Raila Amolo Odinga is asking him.
It is true that indeed, this time, Raila is not coming alone. Yeah? And maybe that's what is scaring the people in government, the most. There's a misconception, and I have also realized in our discussion where we want to make it look as if Raila is, for himself and himself alone. It's as if he wants.
In this particular conversation, Anthony, doesn't it seem like he's for himself and his people in this sense? Yes.
No. Yeah. The truth is that he's not by himself alone. It is himself and the people. And as I said when we began, is that Azimio has been very steadfast, and we could not be in all of these if it was only about Raila Odinga. So the fears that people have in government, that Raila is coming for himself to take a share of the government, those are fears that have been arranged before. Raila has made it very clear that he does not want a handshake with President Ruto. President Ruto himself has made it very clear that he is not going for a handshake with Raila Odinga.
Yes.
Again, they want to create the opposition leader to come to have an office. He said even that one, he does not want. The people in Azimio have said, we want to see the goodwill from the government in addressing the issues that Kenyans are raising.
Yes.
One, and as Mheshimiwa is saying, nobody is carrying a silver bullet to sort out the issue of high cost of living. But we want to see the willingness, the goodwill. And how do we expect that to see that working from the side of government? Repeal the finance bill. That is coming to even burden the Kenyan people even more. Then that way, we will know that you are on the right trajectory towards addressing the high cost of living.
Yes.
Number two, we are asking the integrity of IEBC. We do not want to come back again in 2027 and claim that, we had injustices in the elections. Yeah? Do not sit alone as the people in government and come up with commissioners of IEBC. Let us have a conversation. Let us agree so that we do not have one team appointing who the referee is going to be. Number three, the integrity. Respect multipartyism that many people have fought for, shed blood for, others died, jailed, fought for. So if we are going to have an article in the Constitution that we are not going to respect, we have seen the president instigating a takeover within parties that are within Azimio. When Mheshimiwa started here, she started by saying there are Azimio MPs in parliament who are saying that they are only in these because if they are not, then they will lose their seats, they will be bullied. It is because there are some of those members of parliament who have been bought, again, jeopardizing multi-party democracy. I was elected on an ODM ticket myself. Why would I go again into the assembly and decide that now that I am in the assembly, I will leave ODM at the gate and now be on the side of government? Those are the real issues. On top of that, we are saying that we must respect Article 37 of this Constitution that gives our citizens the rights to picket, the rights to demonstrate unarmed. And we have seen that when the people in government organize anti-mandamano demonstrations, there is peace. And why? Because the police do not attack them. The police do not hurl tear gas at them. So we want to compare and contrast. Yesterday we saw in Mombasa, when our people decided to come together, light candles in vigil for the departed people in mandamanos, we saw police interfere, hurl tear gases. We saw gatherings in other parts of the country that were peaceful. And we have been in mandamanos and we know what happens. It is the police that come and interfere with our peaceful protests, and we continue to hold on it. That we want peaceful demonstrations because it is a right and people have shed blood for this article to be there.
Yes.
And we don't want to roll back on the gains that we have made under the 2010 Constitution.
What could be the face of a deal that everybody is talking about? What would be the outlook of a truce between Raila Amolo Odinga and Ruto? What is the outlook? Could you give us 5 points?
As I outlined, number one is we see willingness from the government in dealing with the issue of the high cost of living that is bringing people to the streets even without Raila Amolo Odinga. Because again, Kenyans are saying, boss, things are not moving well. We are hungry. Then you come back and put in a finance bill that is now an act that is going to overburden Kenyans even more. We want that repealed. Number two, we want, and we still do not know what's happening behind the scenes in terms of recruitment of the incoming IBC commissioners is going to be. Let it be an all-inclusive conversation. Yeah? Number four, we respect multipartyism. Leave those who are elected under azimio to be in azimio. Leave parties under azimio to remain within azimio. Do not entice them and, and sort of come up with an internal coup, as we are seeing, like what we are seeing in Jubilee. Number four, let us uphold Article 37. These days, nobody's protesting. Even if the people of human rights activists come up on the street, they are faced with brutality. Stop killing our people. Stop tear gassing our people. It is a rule as according to the Constitution. For me, that is a truce, not a handshake. And in any case, nobody is interested in one anyway.
Dr. Mwangi, if you could, then as we summarize this conversation this morning, in the interest of the conversation that we're having right now, because then if it were as simple, like Anthony is putting it, then we would have already seen some advancements from that particular table of bipartisan negotiations. If it's that simple, then why haven't we seen it essentially move forward to give Kenyans a solution? In 2 minutes, if you can. And from what you've said in this morning, this deal that we're talking about here, because it would be irresponsible for us to talk about the bipartisan negotiations, knowing very well that even in the clauses of those negotiations, there is one that essentially, definitely, or indefinitely removed the Azimio coalition from negotiating, and they hit it. They said according to clause so and so, we are already out. So bipartisan negotiations, according to the Azimio coalition, are dead and dusted. So even the demands that they made in those negotiations, it will be responsible for us to talk about them right now. So this truce that we're talking about this morning, Dr. Mwangi, from what you're saying, what is the face of that truce?
Well, I think the issues are clear, and the way forward is clear, but it is hazy. Why is it hazy? Because the players are the same. It's just musical chairs. These players have the experience of 2007, 2008. Which ended up with nusu mkate. So the Kenya Kwanza government is saying no nusu mkate. They have that as a fear. So there is a fear of maybe Raila Odinga wants nusu mkate. It's fear. Number two is the experience of 2017, where it ended up as a handshake, which handshake destabilized the Jubilee arrangement. So there is the fear that Raila Odinga and his troops want a handshake. You know, these players are the same. Even the members of parliament, many of them were there. So they are able to say, we know this man. We know what he wants. So there is that fear. And President RUTO was a player in 2008, 2007, 2008. He was a player that time alongside Raila Odinga. RUTO was a player in 2017, that time on the side of Uhuru Kenyatta. And either way, remember after the deal of nusu mkate, RUTO went into government, he was a minister, and then he was suspended. By who? Raila Odinga. He was a player. He was a player in 2017. He was deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. Raila came in. When he decided to go the opposite of the president, then he became an outsider in his own government. Think about this. That creates fear. The fear of what does he want? And now that fear on their side, and you have the deputy president currently, Rigathi Gachagua, saying that he has put every trap in State House, basically hardening and making it difficult.
Yes.
And now that Ruto was deputy president, where Rigathi Gachagua is, and he was unhappy. So all these things now make it difficult for what appears to be a very simple thing, really, for the president to say, look, let's talk. And for that reason,
yes,
we have Kenyans who have lost their lives, which they should not do. We have a scenario where the country, which is supposed to be moving forward, appearing to be just mark timing.
Yes.
My view is this. What happened yesterday and what happens tomorrow. Yesterday is history. It should inform us how to avoid the pitfalls of yesterday,
yes,
so that we have a better deal, not for Raila Odinga or William Ruto, but for Kenyans. And the leaders should look at it in themselves. There's someone who said, what lies behind and what lies ahead are tiny matters compared to what lies within me. They need to look at themselves. The president, Raila Odinga and his troops, look at themselves and say, let's do a deal for Kenyans. That fear, it is not something that you can ignore.
Yes.
But I think Rigathi Gachagua, the deputy president, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah and Moses Kuria and all those, remember they are all from Mount Kenya. All of them, where I come from. The battle for Mount Kenya, there, inside all that equation, thinking about 2027. Good people, I think we deserve better. Fear, let's exchange fear with faith.
Yes.
Let us have faith that Kenya can make it. What happened we can have a different deal.
Yes.
From nusu mkate, we can have a different deal from the so-called handshake.
Yes.
We can have a peaceful coexistence. I believe the proposal to create an official leader of opposition is a good idea. But that's an idea that requires to go through a proper constitutional amendment. I think the way we drafted our constitution alongside the American system did not take into account the country. I think we do need in Kenya an official leader of opposition, leading from the opposition side. At the moment when the leader is actually outside government, he has no position.
Yes.
In a way, it's a problem, not just for Raila Odinga, but even for future. So I believe we need to get to the point where we actually do that constitutional amendment. It's one way. Bipartisan talks, when I talk about it, I mean both sides coming together. But the way the talks went, who has faith in them? Even we Kenyans don't. So we need to reconstitute, and we need to expand them. We need to bring the conversation wider because we are suffering. Bring the religious people on the table, bring more interest groups, because Parliament, as it is currently constituted, is unable to deliver us anything good.
Yes.
It has been taken captive, so we need to discuss something outside and then take it to Parliament to make it law.
Pretty much. Good. Moish, I'm going to give you that time then to sort of cap this conversation, just 2 minutes. There's so many questions that have come in. It will be a big disservice to our audience if I essentially don't put them across to you. Let me start with you, Moish, because it's your time also to speak. I've got this question from Martin, who's asking, could you kindly ask Moish if indeed there's going to be a time when we have an opposition that doesn't get criticized for doing their job? In a minute.
Thank you very much. But please allow me to just advise Anthony. When I said they are our colleagues who are saying that they are here because they want to retain their positions, I didn't mean they want to move to us. They want to remain in ODM. What they don't want to go to is Mandamano. It's not to move to our side. I just wanted to correct you that one. What did you ask?
Is there, this according to Mwangi, is there going to be a time when this government will stop criticizing an opposition that is doing their job?
There is opposition job of oversighting the government or overseeing the government.
Yes.
But there is also disorder like what we are seeing. I am saying whether a life is lost by a bullet or by a stone, it's not worth it. Can we do things in an orderly way? Can opposition criticize the government, not fight, not bring people to fight, not bring youth to fight? I am saying governments are there to be criticized, and that's why I said our president tried hard when he brought that proposal, which was bashed off by Raila himself. But this is what is coming out. We need an opposition. He says we need an opposition. Everybody knows we need an opposition.
Yes.
Then how does it come if we don't have a leader of opposition with an office recognized by the government, so that then there is a structure put in place that will oversight the government?
Pretty much.
Yes.
All right. Just Anthony, there's a question here from Saboke. Thank you very much for watching us this morning. Saboke is asking, could you ask Anthony to explain what he means by youth are not asked for the government to go demonstrate, when in reality, Raila Amolo Odinga has been calling for his supporters to come out and demonstrate?
Did I get a question right?
Yeah.
Just read it.
Yes. Again, Saboke, Tom is asking this morning, could you ask Anthony to explain what he means by youth are not getting called out by the opposition to come out demo, when in reality, Raila Amolo Odinga has been asking his supporters to come out and demo for an illegitimate government?
You know, we have been in the streets, and we have listened to our people. We have listened to even some people who are initially supporters of this government.
Yes.
And the calls remain the same. So when Raila says that we are going for maandamano on a particular day, it is indeed a call from a leader. But as I said initially, is that Raila Odinga does not have to be there himself for for people to come out to picket and demonstrate.
Yes.
So I do not see the reason as to why the government should demonize these people, the young people, for voicing out their concerns.
Yes.
Ideally, the government should be coming out to protect life, including that of the demonstrator, the protester, and property. And we all know there are people who come out and take advantage of the protests that are planned by Azimio. And that's how, if you ask me, I would expect the National Police Service to come in. So the youth, they are charged. I know people who are asking when is the next time.
Yes.
Because of issues that are facing them. Not because of Raila Odinga.
Pretty much. Dr. Mwangi, I just want you to take 45 seconds and respond to this question. This is Collins Minor who's saying, well, a deal between Raila Amolo Odinga and RUTO essentially kills opposition, which is bad for the country?
Well, the country needs peace, and we need to have a peaceful coexistence where the government run their affairs. Of course, the opposition, when I say a deal, I don't mean that they get together and sit, Raila comes in. No. I mean, they address the issues, they come and talk on the table on the issues that are affecting the country, and those issues then become an agenda for government to address. Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, and everybody else should remain in the opposition because they are the voice of the people. That is the way, you know, society operates. When you are in government, you need to be checked. And when you are not running the right way, somebody needs to raise a flag and say, look, address this issue. They are affecting common mwananchi. It's common sense. You know, that happens all the time everywhere in the world. You can be elected with a large majority.
Yes.
On promises, like this government made promises. You don't make promises that you will fulfill completely. You make promises to be elected. But once you are elected, somebody should remind you, like they promised to sort out the cost of living almost on day one.
Yes.
Now they are saying, give us time. You know, somebody has to tell them. So it is important for the president to talk to Raila Odinga.
Yes.
And then they lead their troops into a conversation to move away from Andamano and go to proper running of our country.
Pretty much. At this point, I would like to thank Honorable Jane Kihara, Member of Parliament Naivasha, Moses Mwangi, who's the governance expert, and Anthony Maragu, who's the MCA current ward. Guess what? Take them online, back to the time that you joined us right here on Lookuptv, across all your social media platforms for our online community. I couldn't just read all your comments and questions this morning, but I hope we have presented you or represented you in our conversation this morning. We meet tomorrow for another edition. Good morning and goodbye.